huge market rally today. The Dow up 1,200 points, crossing the 50K mark for the first time ever. First close above 40K in May of 2024. Big gains for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ as well. The Russell 2000 up more than 3%.
This is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. I want you to understand that just as you have come together, there are state prosecutors coming together right now to make sure that people understand there will be accountability. There will be accountability now. There will be accountability in the future. There will be accountability after Trump is out of office. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities, we will find you, we will achieve justice, and we will do so under the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
It's your first look at Bad Bunny's epic Super Bowl halftime show. Bad Bunny has been facing backlash from conservatives angry over his stance on ICE raids and the fact that he sings mostly in Spanish. As he takes the stage here at Levi Stadium on Sunday night, there will be a competing concert headlined by Kid Rock called the All-American Halftime Show.
At the Mar-a-Lago Super Bowl party, are the TVs going to be on the halftime show with Bad Bunny or the halftime show with Kid Rock?
I think the president would much prefer a Kid Rock performance over Bad Bunny.
At the end of the day, the Super Bowl is about bringing people together. Football is like a great American tradition. Set your politics aside for a day.
Set your politics aside? That's Alyssa Farah-Griffin from The View. Welcome to the Comparison Guy podcast, by the way. Today is February 7th. February 7th, one day before the Super Bowl. Alyssa Farah-Griffin says, set your politics aside for the day. Listen to me. If a mermaid farts into a jar on stage during the Super Bowl halftime show, that mermaid better be an American citizen. I know that, or she's going to be in handcuffs. She's going to be in handcuffs right after that performance. I mean, set your politics aside. Everything is politics. Everything. The View will come on Monday. Huckleberry Joe on MS Now will come on Monday. Fox and Friends will come on Monday. The late night guys, Jimmy, Colbert, every podcast, every TikTok, every YouTube show will discuss the Super Bowl and Bad Bunny with political undertones. Everyone. And you know it. I can even tell you what they'll say. It was record-setting. It was a record-setting performance at the Super Bowl for Bad Bunny, the most watched ever. I don't doubt it will be. It'll be historic, a historic performance. I'm not sure why it's going to be historic, but they're going to call it historic. There'll be a play on the name. Bad Bunny was terrific Bunny. Bad Bunny was anything but bad at the Super Bowl. Or Bad Bunny was horrendous Bunny. It all depends on what you're watching. But there's definitely going to be a play on the name. Bad Bunny was anything but Bad Bunny. That's my personal favorite that I think they're going to run with. How bad is it? I already know what they're going to say. I even know who won the game. Oh, yeah. I even know who won the game. Every Super Bowl for the last 17 years has been played on January 1st, New Year's Day, on a soundstage at Netflix headquarters. That's right. You heard it here. It's all a scam. It's why my Pittsburgh Steelers haven't won a Super Bowl since 2009. 17 years. That's the only explanation. This game has already been played. The Seahawks won 27-17. Take it to the bank. You're welcome. Even this disturbing kidnapping. That's a bad segue. But listen, even this disturbing kidnapping of Savannah Guthrie's mom, I mean, that's got political undertones. I was listening to Fox News before I came on to do this, and they were really beating up on the investigation. They were calling it the Keystone Cops. Just the Keystone Cops out there. Why do they have to go back to the house 3 times? Why didn't they secure that vehicle the first day that they were there? I don't know. But even that story has got political undertones. They're asking Trump, like he knows anything. President Trump, what's going on with the kidnapping of Savannah Guthrie's mom? And Trump, he doesn't know anything, but he can't say he doesn't know anything. So he says, listen, we got some good clues, and I think we'll be hearing something very shortly. Okay. It's just ridiculous. Those clips, I think that's the way I'm going to start doing it now. Instead of playing music in the beginning, I think I'm going to hit you with some clips. And hopefully I'll be able to hit you with some clips that maybe you haven't heard. I don't want to play the clips that everyone's playing. I'll be looking to try and find some unique clips. But one of those clips you also heard, the Dow hit 50,000. The Dow closed at 50,000 on Friday. So the morning shows, they didn't have the opportunity to cover it. They'll be able to cover it on Monday, the Dow hitting 50,000. And I promise you, they'll talk more about the Super Bowl commercials than they're going to talk about the Dow hitting 50,000, which is, it's just confusing. Everything confuses me now. Everything confuses me. People will say, some people now will say, well, the stock market ain't the economy. Got nothing to do with the economy. Everybody's not invested in the stock market. Yeah, I know. I know. That's what I was saying when people were cheering Joe Biden's economy because the stock market was setting records. Don't get mad at me. I'm just trying to hold a level of consistency here. You can't completely switch up and go, well, the stock market ain't the economy because it's Trump. It's not. I said that under Biden, and I'll also say it under Trump. I'll remain consistent. Yes, the stock market is not the economy. The same way I said the GDP, really, is not what people think about when they think about the economy. Unemployment numbers are not really what they think about when they think about the economy. Whatever some poll is telling them about how people feel about the economy, it's how they feel about the economy. It's about how much money they have in their pocket is the economy. I said it 1,000,000 times when Joe Biden was president, and I'll say it 1,000,000 more times if I have to while Donald Trump is president. But people can't switch up on me all of a sudden now because the stock market hit 50,000. I mean, it's confusing.
U.S. markets have surged during Biden's presidency. The S&P 500 up about 40% as we settle into its fourth year. Now we want to know, how does it compare to stocks under former President Trump, and how should investors consider this heading into the 2024 election? Bidenomics, go. Where are we?
The stock market is one of the stats I track for the Yahoo Finance Bidenomics report card. How is Biden doing on the economy compared with prior presidents going all the way back to Jimmy Carter in the 1970s? So for most of Biden's presidency, when you compared the S&P 500 under Trump with the S&P under Biden, the stock market was doing better under Trump. But now that we're in the fourth year of each president's term, if you compare the stock market under Biden with Trump at the same point in his presidency, Biden is blowing Trump away at this point. Does this matter? Well, I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to Donald Trump because he has said more than once. He said in 2020, well, if you elect Joe Biden, the stock market's going to crash. It did not crash. And then Trump even recently has said, well, the only reason stocks are going up is because of me. I don't buy that. I don't think many people do. But there are some bragging rights at stake here.
So, yeah, bragging rights. That's what it's all about. Not about the economy. It's about bragging rights. The president gets the bragging rights. You get the blame when the stock market goes down. They get the bragging rights when the stock market goes up, it seems, as far as people's supporters would seem to have it. When Biden's stock market was going up and setting records, no one was saying, well, it's all AI. That's all it is. It's all AI. When in fact, it was the same Magnificent Seven, I believe they call it. It was the same Magnificent Seven companies. It's Tesla, it's Amazon, it's Google, Facebook, I think, is one of the seven. There's like 7 companies that drive the markets. And so, yeah, same thing. Same thing, both guys. But come on now. This show's about fairness. It's about consistency. It's about the full scope. Taking a look at the full scope of the information that we're getting out there. And you know, don't make me remind you, you know how they covered Donald Trump and the stock market when the stock market plunged after he did his tariffs. Don't make me remind you.
This is an ABC News special report. Now reporting, David Muir. Good afternoon. We're coming on the air for a moment here. The closing bell on Wall Street ending what has been a very tumultuous 2 days for the stock market. Another day of steep losses here after President Trump announced his sweeping tariffs. Millions of Americans obviously worried about rising prices and about their 401ks already taking a hit in the last 48 hours. Take a look at the closing bell there. The Dow down 2,200 points, closing well below 40,000 there at 38,314. The loss over the last couple of days.
Did you hear that beginning? With the serious voice? With the music? This is an ABC News special report. You would have thought they were getting ready to tell you Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift broke up or something. With that serious tone. I mean, come on. Don't make me out to be the bad guy for pointing this out. The inequity in our media. Don't make me the bad guy. They talked about it like it was the end of the world when the stock market dropped. All they talked about was people's 401ks. People's 401ks. Everybody's losing all their money in their 401ks. Grandma is going to have to start stripping to make ends meet. She's going to have to go, welcome to the main stage, Gladys. I mean, it was all about 401ks. I said it. Stock market goes down. When it's Trump, it's 401ks. Stock market goes up. That's only because of AI. We have to be consistent. We have to have a higher bar, and I'm going to show you why. If you hang in with me, I'm going to show you exactly why this is so important. So important, and what we're all worried about today, this affordability crisis. I'm going to show you why. We have to have honest consistency in our reporting. Listen to the way MS Now covered the $50,000 stock market moment. Listen.
Look what's happening on Wall Street now. The Dow hit 50,000. You see it right there for the first time ever. We're likely going to set a new record when markets close in just about 30 minutes if it stays over 50. But this good news on Wall Street followed a sell-off this week with big techs losing $1 trillion in market value through yesterday. And it's paired with bleak new labor market data. 108,000 jobs were cut last month, double the number of layoffs we saw at the start of last year. We haven't seen figures like this, by the way, since 2009. Joining us, co-host of the Prof G Markets podcast, Ed Ellison. I don't understand, Ed. Do you understand this?
No, I don't understand. I don't. 15 seconds. Go back and listen and count yourself. 15 seconds. I didn't edit that clip up to that point. 15 seconds. That's how long it took Katie Turr on MS Now to turn I would hope some people in this country would consider good news, stock market setting the record, into bad news. $1 trillion tech sell-off, bleak jobs data. I mean, you tell me I'm doing something wrong here by pointing this out. I don't understand the economy. The guy she brought on from that podcast, I'd be upset if she said my podcast name that way. I don't understand what she said. But I listened to him. He was like, nobody really understands. But I don't understand why we accept this from media, from anyone in media. This inconsistency, be it Katie Turr, be it Tucker Carlson, be it Dan Bongino, now back podcasting, no longer at the FBI, be it Huckleberry Joe on MS Now in the morning, be it Sean Hannity, be it Rachel Maddow, anyone, any one of them, they know something, but they understand what's going on in big tech and AI and the stock market about as much as I understood those Grammy performances. Every single performance, I was like, what the heck is going on now? What the heck is Lady Gaga got on her head? I had to Google that Cat's Eye group because I wasn't sure I should be watching them in the way I was watching them. And sure enough, those girls range in age from 16 to 22. I don't know which ones were 16, but I won't watch that no more. I mean, what the heck? That was some pretty suggestive dancing and some pretty skimpy outfits on that Grammy stage. So I'm very confused. I'm confused at why we listen to people who don't understand what the heck they are talking about. And it gets even worse on TikTok. I mean, and the podcasts, some of the podcasts are out there, and the comments, I see people all the time in comments explaining why there's an affordability crisis. They're going to explain to you why there's an affordability crisis. I don't know how many times I got to say it. I don't know how many times. You want to know why property management companies and landlords and real estate brokers are charging so much for rent? You want to know why? Because they can. Because they can. Let me click on this website called Street Easy. Okay? It's called Street Easy if you want to check it out. The primary search engine for New York City rentals. Says here there are about 15,154 New York City apartments for rent. Now here's one, a rental unit in Murray Hill studio apartment, meaning it's probably about 500 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, $4,450 a month. Here's another one, Crown Heights, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, $7,560 a month. But you get 1 month free on that one. Now here's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 667 square feet in Hudson Yards for $5,612 a month. Now, these listings on this website, all different names. Who lists these properties? RB Realty, Capital LLC, Lazarian Properties, listing by EXR, listing by Graystar, listing by the Durst Organization. Now, I don't think all of these different companies are posting these listings as a goof. Like, hey, let's just put a ridiculous number up there and see if people will pay it. I imagine they're posting those high rents and those properties based on the fact they believe people will pay it. Now, I can also sort the same website to show me the least expensive units available. Now, here's one, Union City, $1,150 for a studio. Here's a house in Bayonne, $1,075 a month for a studio. Here's a Jersey City studio, 400 square feet for $1,250. They got a 1 bed, 1 bath in Melrose, 550 square feet for $1,305. It had a video. I looked at it. Looked nice to me. You could take a walk through this apartment on the video. I mean, you take 10 steps, looks like you're at the back wall. It's very small, but Melrose Avenue, South Bronx, nice enough. So I assume the difference between the $1,350 studio apartment in the South Bronx and the $4,450 a month apartment in Murray Hills is location, location, location. The other thing that's not really discussed a whole lot, I think these listing companies know a $4,400 apartment, people might go, that's insane. How is that even possible? But they recognize they're going to jam 4 people into that apartment. A 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Oh yeah, they'll put 4 people in there. 4 people will rent that apartment. You'll have 2 in the bedroom. 1 will sleep on a futon in the living room, and they'll have another person who'll throw an air mattress down on the floor somewhere. And so that $4,400 is split amongst 4 people. You get a 2 bedroom, oh, they'll shove 6 to 8 people in there easy in these New York apartments. And so that's what they can get away with charging. Because if people are willing to live in those conditions, to pay that amount, to live in those conditions, to live at that location, then that's what they can charge. Simple as that. The bottom line is you don't charge it if you can't get it. So if people are willing to pay more money, 3 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times more to live in a certain location rather than living in Bayonne, New Jersey, outside of the city, Jersey City, New Jersey, they want to live closer to where they work, whatever the reason. It's a supply and demand. That's why. That's the answer. Why is the rent so high? That's why. Because it can be. Because they can get it. Why are home prices so high? Ooh, I'm begging you to stay with me here. You're going to see why this is important. Why it's so important who we are listening to and why it's the problem. Why are homes so expensive? Well, there isn't enough supply to meet the demand. We all know that. In 2018, there were 1.23 million active listings, according to Realtor.com. Now, as of January 2026, there's about 912,000 active listings. Okay? So there's much less. Not a ton less, but less than what we had in 2018. But we hit a low in January of 2022. We hit a low in listings, in active listings for people to buy a home in January of 2022. There were 346,000 listings. That's it. 340, what's that, about a third? A quarter of what we had in 2018. So this is not hard. This is not difficult to figure out. We know we have a supply problem. We don't have enough supply to meet the demand. That pushes the home prices up. But why? Well, it's obvious, because in 2022, interest rates spiked. That's why, because interest rates were so high. U.S. interest rates, stay with me, U.S. interest rates hit near zero levels in two major periods, from December of 2008 through December of 2015, following the Great Recession. And then again from March of 2020 through March of 22 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. They kept rates low to stimulate economic activity. They did it during the Great Recession, 2008, 2015, did it again, 2020 to 2022. Kept interest rates near zero. So what did everybody do? What did everybody do, comparison group? They went out and frickin' bought a house. Or more likely, they refinanced the house that they had. They refinanced the house that they had at an incredibly low interest rates because the Fed kept the interest rates near zero. So you are not going to go out and buy a house at 6%, 7%, 8% interest rate when you're in a house at 3% interest. When you're locked in at 3% interest. So no one will put their house up for sale that they're paying a 3% interest rate on to then go buy a house that's way more expensive because of lack of supply and that they're going to have to pay 7% interest on. You start reading comments on podcasts, on YouTube, on TikTok, you will get nowhere near that answer for why things are so expensive. Nowhere even remotely close to that answer. Everybody's got a theory. Everybody's got a theory about why houses are so expensive. And nobody even comes close to the most obvious answer in the world. Because everyone refinanced or bought a home at an incredibly low interest rate, and they are not looking to give that low interest rate up. Not in a million years. And so you end up with builders not building new homes. Why should they if no one's going to buy them? And you end up with no one able to go out and buy a house because nobody wants to sell. But forget about comments online. I don't really even hear anyone in the media explaining that simple equation to people. I don't hear anybody in the media doing it. The answer to the housing affordability problem is as obvious as Lindsey Graham's sexuality, and yet I don't hear anyone, and I'm not saying it's not out there, it hasn't happened, it's just that I haven't heard it. When people talk about the housing issue, they're always talking about, well, we got to bring down the cost, Politicians talk about we're going to build more homes, You can build all the homes you want. You can't make them affordable if the mortgages are going to be too expensive because the interest rate is so high. Build all the houses you want. I mean, listen to this goofy nerd on a major news network say the most wrong thing I've ever heard in my life, for lack of a better way to put it. Say the most wrong thing in terms of housing and the economy and mortgages. Listen to this.
So, Steve, there's the cost of groceries, the cost of gas day to day, and then in your first chart, you're looking at the cost of just having a roof over your head, how expensive housing has gotten.
So let's go back and take a look at what the problem is for starters. So essentially, if you go all the way back to 2000, housing has generally gone up faster than incomes. This is median household income. This is the price, the cost of buying a house. This is the cost of renting. You can see that the cost of buying a house has gone up over 280%. In other words, it's almost tripled, while incomes have gone up by far less. And what's particularly interesting here is you can just see with your eye how much it has spiked since 2020 and how house prices have just run away from the average American. So that's the problem. And then you combine that with interest rates. Now, he loves to bash Jerome Powell and claim these interest rates are his fault. I won't get into the weeds on this, but just take it from me. The Fed does not control mortgage rates. It controls short-term interest rates, doesn't control mortgage rates. Those are controlled by other factors that I won't get into today.
Comparison group, we have to understand how incredible what he just said is that the Fed doesn't control mortgage rates. No, the Fed does not control mortgage rates. That's true. But to sit there and act like what the Fed doesn't have a direct impact on mortgage rates is insane. It's absolutely insane. This is Huckleberry Joe, Morning Joe on MS Now. They love to have this goofy nerd on with his charts. And I swear, every time he comes on, he says something that makes me go, what the heck did he just say? Every single time. Don't make me play it again. You heard what he said. Donald Trump likes to blame Jerome Powell, but let me just say, take it from me, the Fed does not control mortgage rates. They don't. But we all understand the direct relation. Just as much as we do on credit card rates, car loan rates, student loan rates, personal loan, all of those rates go up when the Fed rate goes up, and comes down when the Fed rate comes down. You know how we know that? You want proof of that? Well, let me read this to you. I had a clip of a reporter asking Jerome Powell about his response to members of Congress, asking him to lower rates to make housing more affordable. I was going to play the clip, but I'll just read this to you. Throughout 2024, multiple groups of Democratic lawmakers, including Senators Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and various House members, sent letters to Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell urging interest rate cuts. They argued that high rates at a 23-year high of 5.5% at the time were harming working families, reducing housing affordability, and no longer necessary to fight inflation. You get that? Democratic lawmakers sent a letter to Jerome Powell asking him to cut rates. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Jackie Rosen, John Hickenlooper, Sheldon Whitehouse, alongside members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and House Budget Committee. The letters highlighted, they sent multiple letters. The letters highlighted that high rates were causing a housing affordability crisis. So you got this white Urkel on MS Now, on a morning show, saying, listen, the Fed, it's not Jerome Powell's fault. The Fed doesn't have anything to do, doesn't control mortgage rates. And yet you have this group of progressive senators and House members begging Jerome Powell to lower the Fed rate. Why? Because it's causing the housing affordability crisis. Don't make me out to be the bad guy for pointing this out. How is that possible? How is their economic analyst coming on and saying something so wrong with no pushback whatsoever? None. No pushback whatsoever that I'm aware of, other than me, little old stupid me. That was from 3 weeks ago. When I heard it, I almost fell over. And I'm just now getting an opportunity to bring it to you, to present it to you. But I heard that 3 weeks ago, and I said, what the heck did he say? Multiple letters from lawmakers. November 2022, March 2023, several throughout 2024, January, March, June. They sent letters asking Jerome Powell to please lower interest rates because it's making housing unaffordable. And this guy said, it doesn't have anything. The Fed rate doesn't have anything to do with housing. And he says, it's not Jerome Powell's fault what the mortgage rates are. Well, yeah, it is. It is Jerome Powell's fault. And it's Janet Yellen's fault. Not their fault in terms of they were purposely doing something wrong. It's not their fault in their sense. It's their fault in a sense of a hindsight 2020. If we had it to do over, maybe we would have done it differently. That's what we have to hear. That's what we have to understand moving forward. We have to have honest, fair, consistent people. Yes, it was Jerome Powell's fault. It was the Fed's fault. Why? Because they kept interest rates too low for too long. Every legitimate economist will acknowledge that now. Again, not necessarily as a critique, but as a learning exercise. They kept the interest rates too low for too long. They miscalculated. Because they miscalculated, you had millions of people who refinanced or bought at lower rates, and now they're tied to that rate. You need a chart to understand that, you goofy nerd? You still haven't figured that out in January of 2026? Because that's where that clip from Morning Joe is from, and I was saying it back in 2023? I am no economic analyst, but I said back in 2023 on this podcast, you can find it. I said the problem is they kept the Fed rate too low for too long. That's what I said. And then I even presented to you the frickin' guy who wrote the rule that Fed banks all over the world follow to dictate where to set the rates to fight inflation.
Hello, in this video we're going to discuss the Taylor Rule of monetary policy. So the Taylor Rule is a guideline for setting a target for the federal funds rate. The federal funds rate is the short-term interest rate banks pay to borrow reserves from one another. And here is the Taylor Rule. It states that the targeted nominal federal funds rate equals R star plus the inflation rate plus G times the inflation rate minus the target inflation rate plus H times the output gap. Let me explain what those features are.
No need to explain those features. I ain't gonna understand it. I picked that dry ass clip for a reason. To make a point. Does that sound like some high level intellectual lecture at some economic summit in Davos, Switzerland? No, it's common knowledge. It's what they teach doggone there in grade school. It's common knowledge. You got a rule, you gotta follow it. It's called the Taylor Rule. I talked about it like 3 years ago. I said the Fed has not been following the Taylor Rule. Let me read. Jerome Powell's Federal Reserve has often been criticized for not strictly following the Taylor Rule, a monetary policy guideline that dictates interest rate adjustments based on inflation and economic output. Powell has maintained a more flexible, discretionary approach, sometimes leading to interest rates that differ from what the rule suggests. Studies indicate that in 2023 and early 2024, the Fed's policy rate was lower than what the Taylor Rule recommended. During the pandemic and subsequent recovery, the Fed moved away from strict formula-driven policy. In 2020, for example, the Fed, they have it in quotes, took the brakes off by ignoring the Taylor Rule to allow inflation to run higher while supporting the economy. So yeah, once again, not Powell's fault, as in, hey, Powell's an idiot and he didn't know what the heck he was doing. No, he made a calculation. Powell believes the Fed has to be more flexible and not necessarily always follow the rules. And so what they did resulted in a spike in inflation. They kept the rates too low for too long. Finishing this up, it says some analysts have suggested that under new leadership, the Fed might return to a more rule-based or hawkish approach in the future. Well, don't count on it with Trump's pick. Don't count on it with Trump's pick to replace Powell. Trump put this guy in there because he wants lower interest rates. He don't want nobody following rules. So, I mean, this is all information we should know. All information we should be given. Not some goofy nerd on MSNBC saying the Fed has nothing to do with the mortgage rates. I mean, this is incredible what we're getting. What we're allowing ourselves to get in terms of information. Now, my last point on economics, and hold on to your hat for this one. Hold on to your hat for this one. My last point. Businesses like to make money. Uh-huh. Did you know that? Oh, yeah. Businesses like to make money. How much money? More money. More money. Well, what if they set a record for how much money they make? They want to break that record. They want more every year. Yup. Every year, they want to make more. And so once again, if the Fed, if the government, if politicians err on the side of over-stimulus, of interest rates low for too long, cheap money, as the goofy nerd put it, there's cheap money out there, businesses make a lot of money. They do very well. They cash in. Some, but not all, of course, but some businesses, they cash in on that. Well, when that stimulus goes away, are they now willing to make less money? What do you think? What do you think? No, they still want to make more money even without the stimulus. So do not expect them to lower their prices unless they have to. How can we have so many people running around from both parties going, I'm going to bring down prices? No, you're not. No, you're not. Not unless the businesses have to. Because if businesses cashed in 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24 because of stimulus from the government, they want to keep cashing in. They see no reason not to. The consumer has to give them a reason. Well, what do you think? That's corporate greed? Is that what you call it? You call it corporate greed? You think there has to be more competition? Okay, well, there's competition in retail. There's competition in food service, like fast food. I mean, there's plenty of options for fast food. There's competition in hotels. Didn't the prices go up for all of those things? Why was there such a spike in ticket prices for concerts and ball games? Don't people have the option to not attend concerts and ball games? You know, the cost of energy went up, so the cost of trucking goes up. Airfare goes up. Public transit was up 20% in 2022. Public transit. That ain't private. That ain't corporate greed. That's public transit. So you telling me it's competition? You're telling me, well, we need to tax them? Well, okay, but you got to be careful with that because more taxes may mean less investment. Less investment may mean less profits. And unless my math is wrong, 21% of $2 billion is more than 39% of $1 billion. So call me crazy, but if what I want is greater tax revenue to fund the government, I will take the higher private business revenue at the lower tax rate than the lower business revenue at a higher tax rate. Call me crazy. So you got to be careful with that stuff. Fee, fi, fo, fum. We can't be this dumb. We can't sit around and just listen to these talking heads pump this nonsense into our ears without questioning any of it. If I hear one more person say competition, Amazon said it's closing its Amazon Fresh and Amazon Go stores. At Home, a home decor and furniture store, said in June that the filing bankruptcy had closed 26 stores. Best Buy planned a continuous plan of gradually decreasing its national footprint. Plans to shutter 10 to 15 stores in 2025. Big Lots bankruptcy led to hundreds of store closures. Carter's, one of the biggest baby children apparel retailers in North America, said in October it would shutter 150 low-margin stores. Claire's planned to close 291 stores nationwide in 2025 as part of its bankruptcy process. Oh, I'm not done. Denny's continued to downsize in 2025 with plans to close 100 restaurants. Dick's Sporting Goods plan to close 35 locations in 2025. Dollar General said in a fourth quarter 2024 earnings it planned to shutter 96 Dollar General and 45 Pop Shelf stores. Dollar Tree, which acquired competitor Family Dollar in 2015, continued divesting itself from the struggling brand and plan to close another 370 stores. You need more? Foot Locker plan to close more than 400 stores before the beginning of 2026. GameStop, which closed 590 U.S. locations in 2024, plan to close a significant number of additional stores by the end of 2025. JCPenney closed 8 stores in May as part of Chapter 11 bankruptcy, USA Today reported. Kirkland's, a home decor chain, purchased Bed Bath & Beyond, plan to shutter underperforming locations while converting some brands that could increase profit. Kohl's plan to close 27 underperforming stores. Lumber Liquidators plan to close 100 stores as part of the company's Chapter 11 bankruptcy. You want more? Macy's closed at least 66 stores in 2025 as part of an overall plan to shutter 150 stores. On the Border closed a third of its 120 restaurants in February. Red Robin planned to close as many as 70 underperforming locations in the coming year, starting 2025. 7-Eleven planned to close 148 stores in 2025, adding to the 444 stores shuttered in 2024 as part of a strategy to focus on healthier food options and reduce cost. Starbucks said in September that it planned to close hundreds of stores and revamp others. TGI Fridays planned to close 36 locations and sell off 9 of its restaurants. United Parcel Service, better known as UPS, planned to close around 73 leased or owned buildings and cut nearly 20,000 jobs as part of the process, USA Today reported. Walgreens planned to close 2,150 locations through 2027. Walmart planned to close 6 stores stores in 6 states in 2025. The stores are located in California, Colorado, Georgia, Maryland, Ohio, and Wisconsin. And on Friday, the stock market hit 50,000. The only difference between me and some high-paid talking head on cable news or some 5-star podcast is, I'll admit, I can't explain any of it. Any of it. Not with complete understanding, not beyond what's just common sense. The consumer is still in control. The consumer is in control. The consumer wants value, convenience, quality. Businesses want predictability, stability, and profits. All the rest of it, it's just to get your attention. Just to get your attention. Oh, this is what the polls are saying this week. Oh, this is what Trump said. This is what the billionaires are going on with the billionaires. Oh, this is what the working class is going on with the working class. 3 weeks ago, we're invading Venezuela. A week ago, we're invading Greenland. Next week, we'll be invading Puerto Rico because Trump doesn't know we already own it and he's mad at Bad Bunny's Super Bowl performance. We are a country that is off course, and we know it. We all know it. We are off course on a ship headed for icebergs. Iceberg dead ahead. And we see them. We all see them. But we just keep barreling ahead. No one willing to change course. No one willing to admit we need to change course. We just keep barreling ahead. And when we hit the iceberg and the boat starts to sink, the fingers of blame will come out, whose fault it is, and the realization will start, there aren't enough lifeboats for everyone. There ain't going to be enough lifeboats for everyone when we hit that iceberg. And who gets a lifeboat? Well, allow me to suggest the people who were the reason why we hit that doggone rootin' tootin' iceberg, excuse my language, they should not be able to get on the lifeboat. The women and children first? Well, not all of them. Not Oprah. Oprah's had a good enough life, if you ask me. Not some of these little bad crumb-snatching kids that don't even help their parents shovel. Yeah, when the SHIT hits the fan in this country, I don't want the people who've been throwing the SHIT to be the ones getting on the lifeboat. Forgive me for saying. I want reasonable, sane, smart people in the lifeboat with me, because I'm getting on the lifeboat. I'm not going to be part of the problem. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and leave out half the story. I'm not going to sit here and give you info-opinion. Just give you info-opinion. Sit here and give you fakery. Sit here and give you misinformation in the way of omission. I'm misinforming you by omitting information that doesn't fit my narrative. I'm not going to do that. And the people who are doing that, no, they don't deserve to get in the lifeboat. I'm very sorry. And so I'm telling you right now, if some TikToker or some cable news host or some political podcaster puts their hands on the side of my lifeboat and tries to climb into it, I'm going to put my foot right on their forehead and push them right underwater. My heart will go on. That's the episode. Thank you so much for listening. The Comparison Guy Podcast. Listen on Apple Podcast. Listen on Spotify. Occasionally I'll still put clips up on YouTube. I doubt this one will make it to YouTube, but please, don't hesitate to follow me on YouTube. Oh, wait a minute. Feet don't fail me now. Watch me go. Oh yeah. Let's get a dance line going. Come on. I'm getting up. You get up too. You get up. Let's get a dance line going. Come on. You got your funky bus fare. Oh. Double Dutch bus coming down the street. Moving dirty fast, so gotta shuffle your feet. Get on the bus. Pay your fare. Then tell the driver that you're going to a double Dutch affair. 5, 4, 4. Oh, you can't tell me that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good. Oh yeah, you know it does. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. And I will see you next time.
Randy like a special man, but I can understand. Down, down, down. Everybody getting